Good morning, my name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at this week's energies and how to best navigate that with today's Monday's Musings. Now, before I even started today, I really contemplated what I was wearing. And the reason I'm bringing that into the video is I contemplated the colours that I was wearing. I really didn't feel that they went very well together, the blue and the brown, until I recognised what they represented. The blue being my throat and communication, and the brown being the Earth Star chakra, Sandalphon, and a more grounded energy. When I stand, my clothes, my top half matches my bottom half. There's a reason I'm wearing brown and blue together, because the pattern, the Aztec pattern of my trousers, contain both colours alongside pink, which is the colour that I have underneath. Now, the reason that I am mentioning this is a lot of the time we cannot see everything that is going on until we stand, until we rise to the next level, so that we can see the parts that do match and the parts that don't. This week it feels really, really important to ensure that our top half corresponds with our bottom half. And what I mean by that is that our higher self and our more earthly version, our physical body, matches where we're at. Because it's that gives us grounding. Grounding is something that is spoke of greatly, especially in the more spiritual arena. But as the years go on, we're coming to the recognition that grounding is being present in the moment, and that can really help with anxiety, with depression. You know, that grounding is actually pivotal. This week we're going to be asked what that means for us individually and collectively as we reconnect and unite to the chariot, to the vessel that's going to help carry us forward through the remainder of the year. Yes, there will be impacts from the planets outside of us. It is very much looking at how we react to them, very much looking at how grounded we are in ourselves before we suggest that it's because of this constellation or this planet or our astrology or our external environment. If we do not acknowledge where we are internally, we are going to forever be almost victims to fate, almost have no, I'm going to say it, control of our own direction. And this year, as we're in the Chariot year, one of the biggest things, you know, we can say that the Chariot and the Tower is about things collapsing and things rebuilding, and it is, it really, really is. But I really sense a deeper understanding, a deeper embodiment of the potential that's available this year, to go beyond what we know, to almost not be so lazy, you know, to see things at a more intense vibration, to really stretch our eyes, to really open our senses. So yes, the Tower card, the Chariot card, very much about moving forward in ways that we may not have expected individually and collectively, and things being brought into change and aha moments, and, you know, Source chucking those lightning bolts down for us to see and to destroy what we once believed. But underneath all of that, there is other symbolism there, just yearning to be like the bulbs that are escaping from the ground outside, just yearning to be seen. You know, the stars on the chariot that are guiding the character on the chariot forward, our lineage, our purpose, our potential, our higher self. And when we connect to that, it is that causes those lightning bolt moments. It is that causes not the destruction, but the recognition that what once provided the foundations for where we at no longer are sufficient, because in order to level up, those foundations need to level up as well. So this week we are being really asked to look at what it is we are grounding into, what narrative, what belief, what value, how we connect to our body as a vessel, how easily we listen to that, and how quickly we throw away any knowledge that we may have right in front of us by being present in who we are based on what's going on around us. So full moon tomorrow in Virgo. Yeah. I haven't written the blog for it yet because I'm undecided. And that is probably what I will write. That actually, despite, Virgo being a very grounded planet and being very earth-based, despite everything shifting and there's so many planets going into, so many energies going into Pisces and huge karmic shifts, despite all of that right now, what I personally feel with the energy is an indecision, which tallies in beautifully with what is going on around me and inside as well. The equinox, the 20th of March, is in Aries, the day before Aries, and that's when the new beginning is. So really using this time to ensure from a Virgoian perspective that what we are putting in place is in alignment with where it is we are headed, that what we are actually initiating is grounded, not in the foundations that once served us, but in the ones that are trying to come through now. So an example of this, obviously the clothes that I'm wearing, ensuring that what we speak is grounded, ensuring that we match our verbal actions this week is going to be key. I have so much planned for this week, and I got home yesterday and the fuel pipe in my van has just split. I did see over this week that my van was having trouble starting. I did see that it kept going despite that. And I could see the relatability of my own situation and my own physical body. And this morning, everything has been not cancelled, but adapted. So any work this week will be done from home until my vehicle is up to par to get me to places that I need to be. This isn't coincidental. And my initial reaction this morning was definitely one of inconvenience, definitely one of this really isn't the best time, and then followed by one of this is how I used to view things. A real sharp recognition the last few days, I don't know about anyone else, about, seeing things from an old perspective and recognising that that's not actually where we're at now. But it's quite swift and it's quite quick. So again, bringing round that, what narrative, what energy, what dimension are you choosing to remain grounded in? So for that reason, the cards that I'm going to use today, I'm going to use some oracle cards, which are the Mystical Shaman Oracle by Alberto Villoldo. The reason I'm using them is a lot of the work that I do is based on many of his teachings, including the Moon Eye Key, for which he is known for bringing to our attention. I'm also going to use, I can't remember who actually produced them, and I will try and find it, but a Mayan deck of tarot cards. Now, I was very undecided about using these because their energy is trippy. It is trippy. And I think a lot of the indecisions that I have about the energies and whether or not to use them is not recognizing that they're part of me. And the reason I mention that is this week, that's really going to feel like key. A lot of the indecisions that are coming to the surface are coming through as doubt because we do not recognize our place within them. I have trippy energy. I am very much linked to the Mayan energy with womb massages and the Moon Eye Key, and the shamanic practices that I do are very Peruvian Aztec based. So this week, looking out for, am I undecided here, or do I just not see myself clearly for the potential that I am? Okay, I'm really using that almost as your foundation. This week is going to be key. To see the vision, to see through the eyes of the shaman this week, to really again open our senses, to open our perspective, to open our mind, and to not be so lazy. And that really is a real word that came through this morning, along with the daily guidance, which kind of caused a knee-jerk reaction in me, an ironic reflection, because the daily guidance this morning was very much about being a snowflake. Now, for those that don't know, the snowflake slang is very much to do with taking things personally, not being able to cope with the hardships of life, feeling entitled, all that kind of thing. And the guidance that came through this morning was for myself and for the collective with the tarot, very much to look at where we were being a snowflake. Now, by that, I do not mean a lack of compassion as in, oh, you're just being a snowflake. What I mean is where we may be asked to lift ourselves up in our own unique identity, okay? Asked to see ourselves for what we actually are, rather than, oh, I can't do this, or, oh, you know, I'm expecting this, this, and this. To really look at where we may be underestimating our own input, value, role, and potential this week. If we do not ground into our higher self this year, then yes, we are going to have those life-changing moments. Yes, we are going to have those shifts. Yes, we are going to have those tower incidences. We are going to be feel like we're being steered all over the place if we do not connect to our higher self, because that's the biggest message behind this year. However, if we do connect to our higher self, we are going to have these life-changing moments. We are going to feel as if we're going all over the place. We're going to have those tower aha situations. It's going to happen anyway, and that feels like key. Everything that is going to happen is going to happen anyway. It's very much about how we choose to navigate it. Are we going to be a victim of our circumstances, or are we going to be the charioteer of our own course this year? There are things that we need to acknowledge if that is the case, and the first and foremost is how grounded we are in our own physical vehicle, how grounded we are in the communication that we share. Do we practice what we preach? How grounded we are in our path? Do we walk our talk? You know, how grounded we are in our intuition. If our body aches, are we listening, or do we repress that information and that knowledge and that wisdom? Do we doubt ourselves and not act on what we feel? These are going to be the pivotal moments this year. These are going to be the very foundations that we build on as we go into next year. Next year being about strength, next year being about the divine within us and allowing that to speak. Well, that's not going to happen if we do not give it a platform through our own actions and our own embodiment of our own divinity. Okay, so with that, I now feel ready, humbled, honoured, but ready to look at the energies this week with the aid of the Mayan. I'm going to say people. just open that up. Gosh, okay, so on the top of the other cards, we have the moon right at the top. So it is very much for tomorrow's full moon, which I haven't actually written a blog for yet, and I'm not sure I will. So that's going to be the other emphasis this week, to really recognise, okay, a high priestess at the bottom of the pack, to really recognise what is actually needed. Okay, so here it almost looks like she's totting up, you know, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, almost like a tax form here. That's what I get reminded of. But to really look at what is actually needed, and I'm avoiding the card underneath, which is the Chariot. Okay, so you couldn't write that, right? So to really look, and the Ace of Wands underneath, to really look at what is actually needed. Okay, so where are we diluting our energy? Where do we need to really focus and bring back all aspects of ourselves now from this almost underworld journey, as we have decided to find out who it is we actually are? So finding who we are, finding the essence behind it all, bringing all that forward and putting that as our main focus. From that perspective, we may think, actually, I don't feel like I want to do that, or I don't feel drawn to share that or do that, and really trusting that, okay? Or no, and it is really trusting that. There is no or. There is no or. Yeah, so in that, there is no paddle to help you move forward. There, you know, diluting your energy, doing things that you don't want to do. There is no lesson behind that anymore. There's no wisdom behind that anymore. There is nothing to be gained by not listening to the messages that you're clearly getting yourself. End of. Okay, so the more we do listen to our own intuition and act upon that, the more the movement of the Chariot is going to be easier this year. Okay, and it's going to really bring up some new beginnings for people as we go from now into the equinox, the spring equinox, the High Priestess, when she starts to come up for the summer. You know, as we go from now into that, yes, it is about trusting our instinct and our intuition. So will there be a blog tomorrow? I'm not sure yet. If I feel drawn to, then absolutely. If I feel like there's a need to share anymore, absolutely. There are going to be some major changes with my own practice from April onwards. I I'm contemplating, which means I'm already doing actually, and that feels like key. Anything that you're contemplating or thinking about, knowing by thinking about it, you're already in the process of doing it. So being very aware of where your mind is at this week, but also knowing that if you're already starting to wonder something, then it's happening, okay? And that is your awareness of it. So I'm contemplating doing online studies rather than face-to-face study days, you know, in a package that you can order. So I'm putting that out into the ether and seeing what happens with that, because it very much feels about focusing our energy back so we can streamline. You know, if we feel as if we're being pulled from pillar to post, or that we're not quite sure what direction it is we are going in, where's our energy at? Bring it back. Bring it back. Focus on the things that we do want to take forward. Be responsible enough, grown up enough, mature enough to say, actually, I don't need to do that. I trust what I'm doing implicitly to guide me forward now. You know, a lot of the things that we add are to advertise our services, because we don't trust that we're going to get to who it is we need to get to. You know, that's again working with the universe there. But also a lot of what we do is repetition. A lot of what we do comes from not quite believing in what we do, so having to do it in a different way. Okay, so really taking what sings to your heart, what calls you out, that voice of the mother. Yeah, we have the high priestess there with Persephone, that voice of creativity that calls you out from the underworld of uncertainty this week. Okay, let me just have a quick hang on. And from that perspective, that's where I see the other guidance that tried to come in a few days ago, which was very much in regards to the repression of the feminine, but how we need to acknowledge that as individuals, we have repressed our own femininity by not acting on our intuition, by not creating when we felt the need to, you know, by questioning who we are, trying to mold, trying to adapt, trying to fit in, with compassion and forgiveness for ourselves for doing it, but almost that is the last part now, rather than pointing to the external, to embrace how we have repressed ourselves is going to be key as we move on. You know, it's almost like I see many of us still chained up, but we hold the keys to those chains from the year before us and still not unleashing that. And that's where we feel as if we're moving backwards and forwards. And, you know, we are the chariot. It is Cancerian. It is the water. It is linked to the moon as well. And there is going to be those ebbs and flows of when we want to act and when we don't want to act, and being okay with that, being okay with our own cycle and our own rhythm. But what also came through the other day in regards to Virgo was the more maternal aspect of Virgo. So Mother Mary very much came through, and there being a new way of nurturing what it is we are creating. In order to do that, we must be grounded in what it is we need. We must be grounded in what it is we feel, with no judgment there. We still are in 2023, so we will be in 20 for, you know, a very long time, and that is the tarot card of judgment. We will be really called out in our own views and our own values and our own morals this year, and how well we apply them to ourselves. Okay, so I'm going to look at the energies for this week and how to best navigate them. And one of the reasons I'm going to use these cards as well, very much we have, okay, yeah. I was going to say very much we have the energy from 2008, 2012, you know, the time of Pachacuti, the time of the world being turned upside down, as seen by the Peruvian elders. And sure enough, we have the Hanged Man that has fallen out. So a lot here coming to the surface to be finally rectified, and that's the word I hear, rectified. And it almost feels like I want to break that down. Just rectified, okay, to really be sorted out. Underneath there's the Two of Cups there. So it is in regards to relationships, how we relate with ourselves, how we relate with each other, how we relate with the world, how we relate with source and divinity and the divine within us. Okay, so really recognizing that, how we relate with ascension. Thank you. So Pachacuti, the time of the world being turned upside down, from that perspective, ascension is seen not as going up. We don't connect to the higher self by just going up. It's like walking up the tree of life with Kabbalah. I'm so pleased I used the Peruvian cards today, because it flows when we're in the energy of who we are, when we recognize who we are and the potential of the energy we're connected to. It really flows, right? But the energy of ascension isn't just about going up. It's not just about climbing the tree. It's about coming back down and applying what we know to life. So the Hanged Man, Odin in the tarot with the runes, it's about finding the knowledge, but then sharing that knowledge in the application of life. And this week, one of the biggest ways to show how grounded we are in our spirituality is to look at how we deal with life. How do we deal with everyday life? You know, we do not live in monasteries anymore. We cannot get away. And that's why I feel like I'm gripping, I'm praying almost. We cannot get away from life. We cannot cancel life if we do not agree with it. We cannot shut these things out. They're still going to be there. This is life. Everything has a right. All life is sacred. Everything has a right to exist in the form of whatever form it takes in the eyes of source. Okay, so it is about how we cope with that, how we deal with that, how we embody and walk the path, knowing that. And this week that is really going to come to light. What have we learned? How are we using it? That's grounded. That's grounded. Okay, so energies this week, and it is going to be in relation to 2008 and 2012, and you know, the big upheaval. So 2008 to 2012, gosh, with the financial crisis, lost the house, lost the job, lost the health, lost the relationship, lost. This week, definitely there's been things that have brought in that energy and reminded me, and for a split second I've had to go back to that and feel that and think, oh gosh, I don't want to build from that foundation. And we're going to be given that opportunity if we just pause and take stock and realise that things not quite moving in the way we would like them to move, i.e. my car, you know, it's for a reason. And it's a great opportunity to pause. It's a great opportunity to take stock of where we're building from. Okay, how embodied we actually are, how connected to our higher self we are in the very actions that we produce this week. It's not outside, it's inside. Okay, energies this week, and that almost feels like a light switch that has just turned on. Right, how to best navigate them. From there it's very clear cut. Yeah, we have the Ten of Pentacles at the bottom, the Ten of Pentacles or Ten of Jades at the bottom of this pack. Okay, from there it's very clear cut. From there we can have some very grown-up conversations here about what is going on, and you can see that their hands as above so below, and the other person is, well, what about the middle world? Okay, yeah, great. Up there, down here, what about the in-between? What are we going to do in each moment to make that moment the Ten of Pentacles, the Ten of Jades, to really appreciate, because that's abundance, the presence of living in every moment. So underneath it all, we are being given a great opportunity to find solidity in what calls us, in what drives us, in what it is we share and where it is we share it from this week. Okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, just move that to one side, Sunday, overall. And it's really interesting because these cards are so different that there's no obvious answers there, which is going to be key this week. There's no obvious answers from looking or trying to look for the same information. So if I look at these cards from the view of all the other tarot packs that I've ever read, there's no obvious answers here. So it's about really looking deeper at the symbolism. I love the colours. That's the first thing that I ironically see, which is not unknown to me because I work with colour and Metatron, but I really, really love the colours here, and I love the higher heart jade colour that we have for Monday, which is 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, the moon card, ironically. So, you know, as we lead into this full moon on the Tuesday, really listening to the higher heart there for anything that may cause indecision. Okay, so we have these flames either side. We have this masculine and feminine energy, but it's about even going beyond that, going beyond the sun, going beyond the moon, you know, and just really feeling into what our feelings allow us to see. So that moon looks very much like an eye. Okay, what our feelings allow us to see. Really using them for the information that they are of the higher heart on the Monday in particular. On the Tuesday then we have the Five of Cups. Okay, so you know, when we start to really feel into what is going on for us, we can feel a little bit, oh, okay, so that's all been knocked over. We have the Three Cups at the bottom there. That's not quite what I wanted. That's not quite how I planned the delivery to be. That's not quite what I howled for in my heart. How can I celebrate that? Because there's 2 cups left. So this week, particularly on the Tuesday, but this week with the full moon, we have the opportunity of looking at what it is we decide to focus on. Okay, and manifesting from there. So I know a lot of people will obviously put into place things that they want to achieve in their life on Tuesday with the full moon, because it's very potent energy, right? It's very full energy. But first and foremost, really looking at what our emotions are showing us so that we can see where it is we are actually manifesting from. Okay, so if we are asking for a relationship, say, because it's the Two of Cups there, if we are asking for a relationship, where are we asking from for that? Are we asking from a place of lack, feeling lonely, or from a place of we want to share? So just the slightest tweaks this week are going to make all the difference, because this character here, you know, totally closed off. Heart space closed off, solar plexus closed off, arms folded, in a bit of a huff, hasn't turned out the way that he would like it to turn out. And I say he, could be a she as well. They would like it to turn out. What they don't realise is right in front of them, there is a way out. Yeah, there's a building there, there's a tower there, there's potential for change there. And I really feel that on the back of my head, really feel that around this Alta Major chakra here. So yes, whilst Monday it's a higher heart energy, the jade, the gemstone, but the jade energy can also very much be to do with the causal and the Alta Major chakra as well. So really opening that up, the difference that would happen there if you just looked up, uncrossed his arms, walked with purpose. That feels like Key Tuesday. Walk with purpose. You know, look where you're headed. When you turn the car, you know, I remember in my driving lessons, when you turn the car, it's always about quickly looking up to where you're headed, because you'll automatically steer in that direction. The rest of your body follows where you're looking. So really choosing where you focus is going to have a huge impact on how grounded you are in the physical steps that you take on the Tuesday in particular. On the Wednesday, we have the Four of Swords. So it is a real great opportunity to rest on the Wednesday. Now, I can really relate to that, because that's the day that my car goes into the garage. It's one of the days I had an awful lot planned, and ironically, I can't, because the physical vessel that was going to get me to the places I needed to be is off the road. So I have no choice but to rest. However, really looking at that, see what I just did there? I have no choice. We always have a choice, really recognizing that and knowing that it doesn't have to get to that point before we listen to the guidance. So I've been talking about having a week off anyway for some time. The thing is, I thought it would be next week. Conveniently, it would fit me better next week because, you know, I could get everything done this week. Well, my body and the universe and circumstances have said, no, we've been listening and actually you need that time off now. Really recognizing that we listen to everything that we say. Our body listens to everything that we say, in our mind, our emotions, all of it. Our body listens. Okay, so even though this is the Four of Swords and it's very much about rest normally in the tarot, what you see here is almost like three swords and having to protect ourselves with that one sword against these three swords. Well, the three swords would be heartbreak. So almost having to protect ourselves from unnecessary pain on the Wednesday by resting, taking stock, really looking at the one ideal that we're connecting to, the one mental energy, the higher self behind it all. Okay, the perspective behind everything. Okay. Because then on the Thursday we have the Five of Wands. So we have two fives here, halfway points. Okay, and the key in between, the balance in between, is going to be the ability to rest when needed and act when called to, because we have the Five of Wands. Now what we can see here on the Five of Wands with the Thursday is, again, all in the perspective. Do we see as if we have to defend our ideas and our values when people come at us with their own, or are they just adding more fuel to the fire? And is that a fire you want to be part of? Really, really observing that on the Thursday. Okay, really looking who's around you, who's your tribe, who are they supporting you? Are they helping you fan the flames? Or are they adding to a destructive fire that isn't actually going to help anybody? So really taking that into account on the Thursday, because we do, Thursday. On the Friday, we have the Strength card, the second major arcana. Now, I'm going to have a sip of my tea. And actually, I've just finished it. What I'm really noticing with the Strength card is the squeaking of the stool that I'm sat on. So come the Saturday, we may be a little bit uncertain of the foundations that we are sat on and whether or not they can support us just because of the noises that they're making. Okay, so that could be creaky bones in the body, like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, or our vehicles, will our vehicles get us the distance? Will this relationship go the distance? You know, we can be really uncertain of our foundations on the Saturday, and that's going to take great strength and courage to open up to a far bigger perspective. What is it we're really uncertain of in ourselves? What is it we're doubting in ourselves? You know, and why are we relying on external circumstances on the Saturday? We have the cactus, and it is the strength card. And what I'm feeling really drawn to remember is the beauty way. Okay, so we have obviously prickles here. We have, you know, dry, arid environment, you know, where there are no emotions here, and yet everything still grows. There's still beauty, there's still flowers there, there's still potential, even in the most difficult of circumstances, for beauty. And it's up to us to find it. It's up to us to be that little bird there, sat on top of it all, singing about it. You know, birds are renowned for singing in a 5D vibration. And really this week, looking at our own communication, is that at the level that we want it to be? Not just the words that we speak. We really concentrate on the communication that we have and the words that we speak, but how does it make us feel? Yesterday I was having a moan. I actually stopped myself because my whole body felt crunchy and horrible and miserable, and it was just actually, yeah, the signs are there, right? The signs are there in the very communication that we hear or speak, and it's very much about feeling into that, having the strength and courage to say, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to listen to things that aren't divine for me, and that's going to be individual, okay? But if it isn't divine for you, it's okay to say no, I don't want to hear this. And that can be your own communication or someone else's, that can be your own actions or somebody else's, because on the Sunday we have judgment card. Okay, so I'm not surprised to see that. Let me just double check. 5, 10, 15, 20. Yes, of course, judgment. Again, not really having to double check, you know, knowing where your feelings come from. We doubt what we feel from our own judgments. I shouldn't really be feeling that, or actually I should maybe do X, Y, and Z, and or they should behave this way, and then I can feel this way. And again, it's going back to that culture of, if we don't like something, trying to eradicate it. That all comes from a judgment, okay? Bringing it back this weekend to our own views, our own morals, our own perspectives of the world, and more importantly, our own perspective of ourselves. Knowing that we can cope with what we hear. That whole snowflake analogy, that we can actually, we've done this, we've learned from this, and really recognizing that and letting that call us out. Letting these emotions that we feel, and it's almost like I want to continue holding up the judgment card, letting these emotions that we feel call us out. Call out our actions of our masculine, call out our intuition of our feminine, call out what it is we are creating in the inner child sensations that we may experience this weekend, so that we can actually unite them all together. And that's what I really feel. The moon is going to trigger that opportunity to unite everything, because now I'm being drawn to the card overall for this week, not the 10 of Pentacles that was underneath it, but the card overall this week is the 10 of Cups. And here you can see this birth, this new birth being handed over, okay? This new birth from giving our emotions space, from handing over our emotions, this new birth that can occur for us all in the 10 of Cups here, to be celebrated. And it could actually be a new birth as well by the weekend. A new birth by the weekend. On the Sunday we have now my mind has gone blank with the new birth. Really feeling into what you want to deliver this week. I'm going to use the terminology of delivery because obviously being a midwife, but really feeling into what you want to deliver this week and seeing everything as a labor, seeing everything as a delivery, whether it's a relationship, a job, your health. Where are you at? What stage in your labor are you at? Have you conceived anything different? Have you got people that are going to be there in your environment to help support you get through this and create what it is you're trying to create? Are you at the precipice of nearly being there? And if so, what do you need? Really looking this week at your emotions and allowing them to be the midwife behind what it is you are trying to create. Letting them be your guide once and for all, for the warriors that they are. Because on the Sunday we do have the Knight of Wands, and here it is the warrior. Okay, and yes, even though this character does look younger than the rest of them, larger than life. Yeah, packed up to the hilts, ready for the journey, protected, strong, still looking behind him, not 100% sure, but almost being dragged by this force, this spirit, this higher self within them to move forward. Guided here by the otorongo, by the jaguar skin that they're wearing, you know, by the ego, the shadow, keeping that in balance this week, but also letting that push us a little bit. Looking at our relationship with our ego. Are we trying to shut it out? Or are we using it as the spark to move forward? That voice that says, actually, there's a big difference between entitlement and knowing your potential. There's a big difference between confidence and arrogance. There's a big difference between narcissism, right, and compassion. There's huge differences between this. So really this weekend, there's another one, and I can't quite think about what it is this week. It's to do with the sharing. It's to do with where we're sharing from. It's to do with reflecting back what we're receiving as a result. Taking responsibility. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3 major arcanas. We have the moon card, the strength card, and judgment. Okay, so really feeling into the courage that it takes to walk away from the judgments that no longer serve you or others. Okay, really feeling into the illusion of who you believe you are and having the strength to open yourself to something greater, not because what you believe yourself to be isn't worthy, far from it, but because that's been the work to get you where you are. In order to really complete that process, in order to respect your journey, it is time to take it to the next level so that none of that has been in vain. Okay, that's healing. We then have 2 cup cards, the 10 of cups and the 5 of cups. It's all in the perspective this week, guys. Okay, it's all about recognizing, even if we feel at the halfway point, you know, when you're at 5 centimeters in labor, there's no going back. Okay, well, you can, but you know, you are in labor, you are in established labor. We are in the point, almost the midpoint, if you will, of real established change. There really is no going back. And the more we try and go back, the more we're going to feel an aversion to that. Whether that's opinions of others, whether that's our own old thought patterns, the more we try and go back, the more we're going to feel lonely, lost, confused, angry, because we know there's nothing for us there now. So it is really about recognizing that the birth is what we are striving for now. That 10 of cups, that happiness that we wanted back there, is there, ready to be walked towards. And it's up to us to, just like this character here, open our heart, open our arms, look up and walk with purpose towards what it is we've been asking for. We then have 1 sword card, which is the 4 of swords. It is about taking that one ideal here and using that to guide us, to navigate us. You know, in the 4 of swords, yes, we do talk about rest and everything else, but it's almost like laying on the tomb of what was. There's no more time for that. The rest now comes from taking what it is we're trying to achieve and allowing that to stop the heartbreak of continually going back. We then have 2 wand cards, the 5 of wands and the knight of wands here. Really looking at what it is that's going to drive us, okay? Is who's fanning the flames, who's supporting us, what fire are we building here? Is it chaos? Is it chaos that makes us continue to keep moving forward? Is it drama that causes the change? Does that work for you? Now, if that works for you, hey, who am I to say don't? Whatever works for you. But if it doesn't, if emotionally this week you can have the courage to feel that actually this, whatever this is, isn't working for me, you can then, without judgment, decide what it is you now need to move forward with. Okay, so with that in mind, we're 38 minutes. Gosh, that hasn't been a long one. It's been whatever was needed. Okay, so I'm going to keep we'll shuffle. I was going to say I'm going to keep the moon card to one side, but again, this is where we take the deeper messages of the astrology that is going on and really look at, I know where you're going. Okay. the sun card underneath. So the other thing that came up this week was the knowledge of karma. So we do have, I think it's Saturn going into Pisces, and I apologize if I'm wrong here, but I know there's some big planets going into Pisces, and there's a lot of change going on, and it's been for a very, very long time this has been coming, and there's a lot of karma being cleared, a huge amount of karma being cleared. And what came up for me the other day was about recognizing that karma isn't outside of us. It's not this force that we have no control over, that we are subject or, victim to or slave to. It is a process that occurs through us as well as around us, and really recognizing this week that whatever is going on out there in the skies is going on in here too, and whatever you feel as a reaction to that is just as valid as the information that is out there. So in that, whatever you feel and your actions based on it will be the karma. And that feels like the planetary bodies this week are very much trying to get us to step up and join them at the table, to step up and into the game and recognize our place here. Because then things really start to shift, not just for us, but the collective and the world at large. Even karma, the aspect of karma starts to shift as well. So we do have the sun card at the bottom, and I do really feel that that is very much about embracing, dancing and being your own central sun. Watching that everything doesn't revolve around you this week, but also recognizing to an extent it does. Okay, so really keeping that balance. Okay, so one card to help us navigate the energies this week. Okay, so I had a bit of a headache there, and the card at the top is the Time Master, and I'm really pretty sure it is Saturn, which would make sense with the whole time analogy, and really trusting the whole divine timing aspect this week. And underneath we have the Ghost Dance, and what I'm drawn to is the Ghost Dance is the number 22. There are big changes for the feminine coming up this week, in particular with this Virgo moon, which really surprised me, even though I don't know why it surprised me, being linked to Virgo. But yes, how we embody, how we connect, and how we ground to our own feminine and our own earth mother beneath us. I see that the Ghost Dance is number 22, so I want to look that up because it feels almost karmic, and it does feel previous lives being brought to the surface to be danced out, to be played out. So card 22. I just want to show you this. The invitation. The ancestors have a message of healing and powerful medicine to offer you. Create a sacred moment at your altar, light a candle to them, and let their wisdom infuse you. At this stage, you can't see it. At this stage, you can't see it, which is poignant, right? At this stage in your life, you are done repeating their tragic stories. Wow. Okay, step into the abundance that is offered to you, receive the gifts of those that have come before you, and write a new story for your life. So taking it to a whole other level, when we don't repeat the stories, not only do we heal ourselves, we heal our ancestors. So we can say, oh, great-great-grandmother had this way of doing da-da-da-da-da, and they've made, as a result, I'm really stubborn like them, blah, blah, blah. Or we can flip the narrative and go, actually, because of everything they've been through, I'm very independent and strong, blah, blah, blah. It's down to us to really sift through that medicine, to take the jewel from inside it and move forward. That way, not only do we heal our path, we heal theirs as well. And that's instantaneous, that is the Time Master. There is no time limit to the healing that can occur in every single moment from one choice of a view, of a perspective. We change the whole karma, not only for ourselves, but our ancestors. And it's a big week this week for that, especially in regards to the feminine. Okay, so then we have the Time Master, number 57, opened up on soul retrieval there, and then thunder. Okay, so we know that time is construct of a human mind through which life events are seen to flow in a straight line from past to future. This is the illusion. Time moves in patterns, fractal, sometimes turning like a wheel and others moving straight as an arrow. Okay, so when the Time Master visits you, he asks you a most important question. Will you break free from limited cause and effect thinking by moving beyond the linear illusion and welcoming the cyclic quality of time? You find yourself in a moment where the wheel of time turns and you're able to influence the past, thus changing the present and future simultaneously. This is the true test of the Time Master. You're being invited to take back your power, so let go of the past and choose to step into your life. In this moment, you are all powerful. You are the time master, and anything is possible now. And underneath is the medicine wheel. So really recognizing where you are in your own medicine wheel, how strong your medicine wheel is as a foundation. So where are your thoughts at? You know, in the space of the north, when things are unknown, how do you react to this in regards to your thoughts? And is that yours or is it ancestral? Are you feeding from the nectar of life like hummingbird, like Siwa Kenti? Or are you, really doubting your ability to make that great hero's journey? And if so, what needs shifting there? In the east, things that come to light, things that are brought to your own clarity this week, things that you finally see in regards to the dreams that you're trying to dream into being. Are you seeing the higher perspective here? Are you rising above the level that you were at, or are you still taking things from old energies, old narratives? Is it that's come to light for you? And if so, what is it you now need to heal as you move around your medicine wheel to the south, which is the space of the serpent? Obviously, are you shedding your past? How can you shed your past? How connected are you to the earth? Really, really looking at your physical body, at your possible repression of your own energy, of your own feminine, of your own creativity, your own sexuality, your own kundalini this week as you move into the space of the west on your medicine wheel. In this place of Otorongo, what is it that you need to let go of in regards to what your ego believes? What is it you need to let go of in regards to your ego? What is it you need to now move forward from? Now, when I say let go and move forward from, although we're in the place of the death space on the medicine wheel, what I don't mean is to ignore. What I mean is to bring back and become whole and complete with gratitude for what it is you have discovered. Really looking at your medicine wheel this week and how firm a foundation it is, how solid it is, whether or not it wobbles, where you may need to look at, how balanced you are, in your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, your drive, your desire. Because it's one thing to ask the moon. It's another thing to really ground with what you feel and align not only with the moon but yourself. Take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I shall see you and your higher self next week. Take care.